Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday night in the spotlight. Tonight, I have joining me Ora Goldin of Living Rhythm, and she's here to talk to us tonight about the power of rhythm. Ora is a deeply passionate woman who has worked in the field of human connection all of her life. For over 17 years, she has been facilitating wellness, team building, and community circles with rhythm, sound, voice, and drumming as the tools. Through her company, Living Rhythm, she has been able to support people of all ages and abilities. One of her main missions is to help create a sacred space where people can feel brave enough to present and honor themselves as they are, where they are, and how they are in that very moment while feeling the support and foundation of community. Aura also feels called to be a catalyst to help people discover and create a relationship with their own vibrational medicine that is found within, a remembering of one's wholeness and a deepening in the body's intelligence. The pulse in our very life force that celebrates our individual rhythms and simultaneously celebrates how all living beings are connected. Aura has vast experience in helping people harness the power of the pulse to enhance our well being, foster connection, and release and express ourselves. Aura has created this powerful in person experience for an online and virtual realm and has found that there are no boundaries to building community and feeling connected. She is offering virtual one on one group and workplace relaxation and sound meditation experiences and is currently in the process of creating online ongoing group programs. She hopes that she can make rhythm together with you soon, virtually or in person. So, welcome, Aura, and thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here. It's always so hard. I want to look at you and yet I want to look at the camera. So I'll probably go back and forth.
I do that constantly because it's human direction that we just want to look in people's eyes, right?
Yeah.
So, can you
Uh,
tell me, how did you get started with this?
sure. I love telling this story. So I was living in Israel at the time, and I was working. As I said, human connection. I was supporting the elderly. I had worked in daycares. I was working in a residential home with supporting adults with autism. And rhythm had been a part of my life always. I dabbled in some drum kit lessons when I was 16, but my dad owned a chain of A&A records. And, music and rhythm had been a part of my emotional and life process always. I came home for my sister's wedding. And lo and behold, she was having a drum circle for her bachelorette party. And so we were setting up, and then I went upstairs, and this really cute guy opened the door for me. And then I went back downstairs, and I said, "Oh, there's a really cute guy in the building." And it turned out it was the guy leading the drum circle. So he
Perfect.
happens to be my husband today. So it was a beautiful way to begin because it really began in love. And it was kind of an instant connection. And even though I flew home to Israel, we really hit it off. And 2 months later, we had a beautiful love affair in Amsterdam. And after my schooling, a year and a half later, I came home to make a life. And, we got married and we have two beautiful sons. And he and his brother and my sister in law had a company called Mountain Rhythm, and they were manufacturing the drums. And he was doing also the outreach program. So he was working in schools and camps. And when I moved home, I had completed a program of energy healing and Bach flowers and a whole bunch of various holistic and turns out vibrational healing modalities way before there was a wellness studio and clinic on every corner. I mean, this was, people heard energy healing and it was woo woo and no thank you. It was a completely different time. And as it was unfolding for me exactly what I wanted to do, I started doing workshops with him. And what I loved about it was, first of all, I had set myself up to work one on one, but when I discovered circle, there was something so powerful about being in that sacred shape and that gathering of human beings in community and have some big energy. So I would show up and he was great at what he did, but I really had that external extroverted energy. And I realized that I could bring so much of my desire to support and help people through rhythm. and that we were rhythmical vibrational beings. And so to tap into that, it was something I could, you don't grow up thinking I'm going to be a drum circle facilitator. It's not exactly a profession people talk about. So I slowly started doing workshops with him, and in 2004 I created my own company and realized, I wasn't going to work one-on-one, and that circle and community was calling. And so I created Living Rhythm in 2004. And about a year later, I also became certified as a health rhythms facilitator, which is a research evidence based protocol using drumming and rhythm and in the moment music making. And they took blood and, did a scientific study and showed that there's a physiological, emotional benefit to us creating this together, within a certain protocol and process. So it was just all the parts and pieces of myself coming together, and it's just been such a blessing, and it takes me everywhere. I've been blessed to be able to work with babies. I used to say up to 100, but then I had a woman who was 101 in one of my circles, so I no longer, why would I put any conditions on it? Any living
Yeah.
being, really. It's just as versatile as music is, and I've just seen the power of what's possible. And not always, but most of the time, I feel like I'm fulfilling a sacred purpose, and that's pretty awesome. I feel really blessed.
That is absolutely beautiful. And what a story to tell. Like I love all of the synchronicities and the alignment and everything
Oh,
that all happened there.
so
Now,
many.
I would love to hear more about how, in the process, the scientific process of it, what are they seeing as like changes in the results of the blood and the emotions and all of that through the healing powers of music, I guess I would call it.
Yeah, they actually found a boost in killer T cells, which help fight cancer. They saw, reduction in stress. They saw boost in immune function. It really, uh, it's both documented and experiential. So there are the studies that show the results, but
Yeah.
then there's also the experience of the people. And so with
Yeah.
both behind us, I think it's the deep ancestral knowing that this is nothing new, right? People have been gathering. The drum is, our first instrument, that and the rattle, and people have been participating rhythmically in their life always, and we were born with our instrument, our voice.
Yeah.
And so it's always amazing when science catches up with a deep knowing that already exists. And I think we find
Exactly.
that more and more, that science and spirituality are really, intersecting. And there's just so much proof today, of and evidence of the benefits of these programs.
Absolutely. I love when science will start to back things up, because I know for myself, when I drum, I'm like, I do it because it feels good. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the drum is a powerful tool, but I always like to talk about it in terms of rhythm, because I don't all of my colleagues, all of my peers who are my friends, and they're amazing facilitators. I'm pretty sure 100% of them came at it as drummers. They studied drumming, they studied music, they went to Africa. I was coming at it from a very different place. And, I have a friend who always reminded me, it kind of, it keeps me with the community, because I'm rhythmically inclined, but really my whole message is that we can align with our rhythm, and that we're born with rhythm. We walk, we talk, we breathe. And so many people enter a circle with a very limiting belief about their rhythmical abilities. How many people say, I can't drum, I can't sing, can't. And to be able to offer someone an opportunity to challenge a limiting belief, I think opens the door to challenging other limiting beliefs. And I think we know that we have these core narratives that got formed for us for multiple reasons as children, that often, whether we're there to protect us or for whatever reasons, that as we grow up and as we're adults, they no longer serve us. And it takes that awareness to be able to start dissecting and, questioning, does this story serve me, and creating a relationship with it so that there can be a shift. So I love that opportunity, because I think once you allow someone to see their ability to participate rhythmically and challenge that, again, you open the door for them to bring that awareness into other areas of their life.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Now, do you have, just thinking of like breaking limiting beliefs and stuff? So when you're working with people, do you have them create like an affirmation for a story that perhaps they're wanting to get rid of, or like if they know of a limiting belief that they have, is there a way that they can kind of drum that out?
So that's an interesting question. So because I work in so many different capacities, although I seem to be streamlining the wellness angle. I don't like the word angle, but the wellness approach, because it's so much a part of my own personal journey and healing journey, um, and I think it's so needed. Um, I'm so sorry, I lost my train of thought. Can you ask that again? I
Yeah,
apologize.
so I was just wondering if you ever have people
Limiting
say,
beliefs. Sorry, I'm
yes.
back with you. So, what's amazing about the drum is we can get beyond the intellect, and we're such a head driven society. And as I am finally reached a place in my healing, learning there's no destination, but I have reached a place where I'm able to get into my body, and embodiment is a whole new thing. And what's so powerful about the drum and any rhythmical experience is it cuts our intellect. It bypasses the thinking, the narrative, and it just goes right into the core. And so yeah, there's so much that we can transform, transmute, release, or integrate all through these sounds. And you know, everything comes to me often as a beat, a rhythm, or a song. And boy, my kids have a really hard time with that sometimes. Enough singing, mommy, but everything's a song for me. And so I find that for myself, and I'm looking to do this more and more with others, that when we create a rhythmical experience of what we want to create, first of all, I've spent a lot of time trying to stop trying to destroy the things that don't serve me. And really, all that did was create more suffering. And when we focus on the building of something new, and I have a friend who uses the word practice all the time, and I love that. It's not that I'm victim minded, it's that I'm more practiced at suffering. Let's put it that way. And you know,
Mm,
we can talk about what that might mean for me. But as I become more practiced at peace, at self compassion, you know, the drum and rhythm is a powerful way to create what we want. So I think it's an indirect way of us addressing our limiting beliefs, but in the different opportunities of different workshops, that could be a very specific activity that we do where we really address what's arising in us, what we're aware of, and how through the rhythm and the vibration, which is an immediate, it's an immediate happening. It's vibrational. We can really create a shift
yeah.
in those moments. So yeah, I think it's a powerful way to explore our relationship with ourself, with our mind, with our thoughts by getting out of them.
Absolutely.
Right? I think I
Absolutely.
can't. Is it Einstein or somebody says that the solution, right? We can't have the solution come from the same energy as the problem. And
Yeah.
so I find that this rhythmical opportunity really allows us to create a new energy space to come at it with, you know, let's not say solutions, but healing opportunities.
Mm, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So when, because you're working with people from zero all the way to, we'll say 200.
Why not? We never know what's possible.
That's right. That's right. So what is kind of like the main energy then, or the main draw that people would have to come to a drumming circle or to one of your living rhythm sessions?
Well, in these current times, things are obviously very different, and my focus has been on adults, both in the workplace and corporate teams, and individuals, women's groups, or just groups gathering for the sake of healing. So, um, yeah, it's so most of the work that I've done until now has been someone hiring me. So they have a team building experience, they want stress release. There's a communication issue. You know, there's so many things that we can address. Or it's a school program and they're looking at mental health. Again, that's solidifying community and connection, leadership. I've done a lot of work in leadership, both in corporate as well with student councils. So as I'm stepping into this new forum, which you know I feel like I've been on the precipice of shift for a while, and this is opened up some opportunity.
Yeah.
For me, it's really about people who are on some kind of a journey with intention, who are looking for other ways, who either have experienced spiritual bypassing, which I know you talked about last week in your podcast. We can talk about what that might mean, but really the avoidance of the hard stuff, I guess, the
Yes.
shadow work. Um, I learned a long time ago the only way out is through.
Yes.
What that has meant in my life and how it's looked has evolved, but there is no other way, and I know the attempt at going around only creates harder suffering.
It always reminds me of that kid's song, Going on a Bear Hunt, and you can't go over. You don't know that one?
I don't know that one.
Okay, I'll send you a YouTube video later. But it's like
Great.
you're going on this bear hunt and you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you can't go around it, you have to go through it. And
Oh
it's
wow, it
just,
sounds right up my alley.
it's
That's awesome.
exactly about not spiritually bypassing
Oh wow.
whatsoever.
Wow. Yeah, so I'm finding that right now, I mean, my goal is I've been called since I was a child. This idea, but both through my name, which is Hebrew, it means light, being a light into the world and just feeling called to help people. And part of that journey is also exploring why I also feel so responsible for so much pain.
Mm.
And so that to me is a lot of the light and the shadow work. And I mean, trauma and just lack of being in the body, all that stuff. But through that work, those are the people that I'm excited to help and support. I think that's so often, right? What we go through personally, those are the people we want to attract into our lives because something's working for me, and I really would love to be I'd love to be a part of someone's self care toolkit, but in the way that I'm a boomerang. Like I think the age of the guru is kind of ending. We all need teachers and guides and supporters. Um, but if I can be a catalyst for someone going deeper within themselves through compassion and loving kindness, then wow, then I will feel that I've fulfilled some sacred purpose. So I also think, I guess, in whether it's spiritual bypassing or just this idealism about meditation, mindfulness, that I always say that these buzzwords are buzz kills in a way. Because
Yes.
so often I'm brought into a workplace or a school, and it's like, okay, we're having mental health week. And I say, okay, so what have you done till now? What are you doing after? And there's really no integration. And it's more of a checkbox. And sure, it's great. It's great that there's dialogue and that we're talking about it and it's becoming less taboo. But I think until the mentality shifts, that there needs to be a systemic paradigm shift, right? Like really to the core, that it is a daily investment in ourselves. And that looks different as well. Back to the idealism of it. Um, I'm realizing that there really was an ideal set for me, even though I thought I knew differently. Whether it was the amount of time it took, you need an hour, you need to be on a beach, on a mountain. And and if I can help people see that it's moments throughout the day that have a cumulative effect, that they matter, that, even I find after a circle, people will say, well, I always thought it had to be quiet. If it feels good, can't we celebrate that and do it and stop? Yes, I know there's research and scientists, but can't we just start trusting ourselves? And if it feels good, if it brings relaxation, if it shifts something in us, then can we stop letting anyone tell us what's right? I mean, if we're not hurting anybody and we're expanding in ourselves in love, then what's wrong? So put on a song. Let dancing be your meditation. Let drumming, I want to help people celebrate what feels good to them,
Yes. Yes. I was
right? And I
just,
think that's a lot of the work you do too. Is
yes.
let's drop this judgment and the definition of what this looks like, whether it's spirituality or meditation or mindfulness, all these things. What is it? And embodiment is shifting my relationship with these concepts. They were brilliant concepts. Surrender, great words, like really all great words. But what does all that mean? And
Yeah.
it's only in the past year, that I'm going through this massive shift, and just really realizing that my relationship with those concepts is changing, and that it's not about, yeah, understanding is important. I think theory is good, and having knowledge is important, but that's not where for me the healing, the real shift comes in. it's in letting go, and it's hard, and my head is fighting, it's an identity thing. Like I love aha moments. They're orgasmic to me. It's like, oh, I love that. Yeah, like when consciousness, you can actually feel it growing, and you have a new awareness. Do you feel that way
I
too?
call it a soulgasm. Yes.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. Oh, a soulgasm. Oh, I might have to borrow that. Right. And so when I'm, although I believe I'm an extroverted introvert, actually, and who needs labels anyway? I like to be alone sometimes, and sometimes I don't. But that I do have this big energy, and um, um, experiencing that joy in a place in the body it's really different, and different and new can feel really scary and wrong.
Yeah.
But back to the practice thing, it's just that I'm not practiced at it yet, and I'm learning, and I'm really excited about this time. And particularly, I mean, I'm coming out of not only one of the most difficult year and a half of my life, but probably the last 5 to 6 years have been extremely challenging. But I've been in a dance with, I don't like the term mental health, but I'll say it because it's what people know. In with mental health for over 30 years, and I getting to the essence, to the vibration at the cellular level where I can't get in the way. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful process, and it's gentle and loving, and and it works. It can shift things, and I just really want to work with people, and I want to help them, and let them explore something new that's really inside of them. I think I mean, there's so many things I have learned and continue to learn, but the seeking, the constant striving and searching is exhausting.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was actually at your circle, because that's where we met, was about a month ago, was at a woman's circle. And I got to launch an idea, birth an idea that I'd had a year ago. And it was about opening a circle where we can create a space not only on the foundation of gratitude, but where we can honor ourselves as we are and how we are. I guess you said it in my bio, but like for real,
Yeah.
how I, all my how my body looks, how my mind's at, where my emotions are at. Like, can we show up as ourselves and feel the loving welcome from the community? Because it's two sides, and that's another piece. Sorry, I'm just going on and on,
No,
but
it's okay.
um, so what I love about this work is that it really addresses that dual relationship. Is me with myself. What's my relationship when honoring my own rhythm and where that takes me in a day? Because we know it's not linear, um, and it addresses the relationship with community and support. We are hardwired for connection,
Yeah.
and something that can do both at the same time. It's powerful. It's powerful.
Absolutely. I remember at that drumming circle, just it really opened up my heart as we went
Mm.
around, and each person was expressing, I believe it was their name and one thing they wanted us to know, or one intention that they had
So we
set
we
for.
started with a gratitude, something we're feeling grateful for,
Yes.
and then the words were "I come as I am," and
Yes.
together we sang "We welcome you," and we did that 3 times.
Yes. And it was just because it really brought out a lot of emotions in a lot of people. And I just remember my heart just feeling like, you know, that whole we welcome you, we welcome you. And because I was one of the very last in the circle, just based on where my seating plan was. But to have people say that back to you, we welcome you, we welcome you, we welcome you. It was almost like this weight gets lifted off your shoulder, because I think we show up so often. And again, it goes down to those expectations and, what we think people are needing from us in any single moment. So we might, show up and have our shoulders up a little like this and, put on these masks and stuff. But when we're invited to just welcome ourselves and welcome each other as we are, we can just show up as we are.
Again, to have an idea and birth it and have someone reflect that back is so powerful. And in this healing journey, as I create a different relationship with my ego, because ego really scares me. I'm so afraid of being full of myself because I've lived in black or white thinking for so long. So, in feeling good about myself, it often meant someone was less than. And that was unacceptable to my true essence. And the other opposite is that I'm worthless and useless, and that's also unacceptable. So, finding that place in between. And so to be able to feel purposeful, I do believe that something higher and bigger than myself that comes through me, although again deeply rooted in body as well. I think it's really finding it's got to be both. I Yeah, it's just so beautiful, and that you and to witness that. And there's something about the third time. It was saying it three times, and that the women that had an emotional reaction to it, and only the only external, when it's internal, it's, I don't want to say it didn't happen, but to feel, again, to birth something and have it be successful and have it be even beyond my dreams and imaginations. That's where I really feel that place of co-creation, where the circle made it what was possible.
Yeah.
But just to see that the repetition of it, and how rarely we speak those words, that I arrive as I am. I don't need to smile. I don't need to be in a better mood. I don't need to look different. And can we really feel the support and the welcome of that? So thank you so much for sharing that, and
Thank you.
doing that.
Thank you. Because I believe it's something we all need to be doing, and perhaps maybe doing it more consciously aware, where when we are showing up, we are saying, I am who I am, and I welcome myself, and I welcome you as you are as well.
It's a skill,
It absolutely is.
right? And we're so, being a parent. I God, there's so many things we learn as being parents, but what we put on our children as far as our own unfulfilled desires and dreams. And so when if we experience that as children at all, best intentions, it really creates the mask and the armoring, um, versus just feeling, just coming back to feeling heard and seen as we are and as you are. And yeah, I really want to be a part of that. I just want more of that, because I'm starting to do it for myself, because the cruel taskmaster world that has been in my mind for years, but certainly for a lifetime almost. It's it's awful. I mean, it's awful. Who has a chance when that's what's, the programming? And I think part of it begins, I mean, finding safety within our own bodies is so important, but and grounding and centering, but being okay with where we are. And again, you were speaking about that last week, how, right, and it's such a great lesson to learn all the time, that okay, so I'm in a state of depression. When I judge that, when I make it wrong, there's pain and then there's suffering, right? And
Yeah.
often the suffering is self-perpetuated. The pain is hard enough.
Yeah.
And I find that this last bout had a smoothness to it, because I'm getting more skilled at honoring myself where I am as I am. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be a wife and a mom and a business owner and running a house and just life. But I just don't know that there's another way for me but to honor where I am.
Yeah. And
And it allows the movement to come more smoothly, right?
yes, absolutely. Because it's, I feel like it's always in our resistance to where we're at in any given moment that it causes it to just, it's like a snowball going down a hill, and it just starts to gain momentum and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we crash. But when we can go, oh, okay, so I'm a snowball right now. That's what I am. I'll just hold
But I
on.
think often there's black or white thinking. It's like, oh, then I have to make this good,
Mm,
right? And I don't think anyone wants to say that pain is good. It may have learning, and it may have growth, and may even have gifts. I don't know, um, but when we make it wrong, it
yeah.
just it puts us in a hole so deep that it just feels impossible to come out of sometimes. At least for
Yeah.
me.
No, I agree with that 150%, because if I were to say to you, because you were in a sadness in this moment, and I were to say to you, you know, it's not very spiritual, Aura, for you not to be in joy right now. Like, we must shift that and you must be positive. Automatically, you're going to shut down because you're not being validated, and you're going to feel disconnected from me, which is also going to add to that sadness. And then it's going to start this shame going on in your mind that where you are right now is not acceptable. And now you must change it as well, which just only adds on to everything else. So I think it's definitely something that needs to be talked about more in the community, about allowing people to just be where they're at. And we don't have to, if it makes us uncomfortable, that's our own problem.
Yeah. Well, I think, I'm learning a lot about capacity and resiliency. And we don't have the capacity to hold space for the discomfort, both in our own discomfort of you know, I think most of us got an impression that there were good feelings and bad feelings, right? And so if that's our experience, and we make, again, it always comes back to making things wrong. If that's wrong, then we can't really ever fully create a relationship with any of it. Um, there's powerful work, parts work. The basis in theory is IFS, which is internal family systems. Have you ever heard of Richard Schwartz? And so turns out I was doing this work this past year, but didn't know it was that. And I don't even know if my beautiful therapist slash guide slash amazing woman even was working particular at that theory. But the idea that we have all these parts within us, and the parts that we don't like, yeah, there's some parts that there's no doubt they're done and they need to be kicked out. But first it's the witnessing and it's the seeing them, and it's powerful work. Just the whole honoring, and I think honoring, seeing, feeling, and witnessing, it goes deep and it goes so layered. But it's really a big part of the healing work, certainly for me, and I'd imagine for most people, because my understanding, both of trauma and in the parts of ourselves, is things get frozen. So if we've had a traumatic experience, and there's a spectrum of that, I mean, we're not just talking about the high end explicit traumas. If it didn't have a chance to be processed in a positive way that brought us back to a sense of safety, that moment, that entity can actually become frozen in us and have a voice within us, and we don't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been really powerful work as well. I got a whole stadium filled with entities that I engage with and talk to, and yeah, I'm really grateful that I don't know, that I'm weird enough. Like, I'm okay being really weird.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't considered that way, but when my kids call me weird, great, best compliment you can give me, because that's just it's there's so many pieces to healing, and I know that without honoring those voices, talking to them, even some of them don't even know that they're hurting me. These are things and places and stories that started to protect me when I was whatever age, for whatever reason. And it's like, I'm now almost 45. It's 2020. You're now keeping me from shining. And you know when the dialogue goes really well, it's like shock almost from these entities, and they had no idea. They didn't know I wasn't 3 years old or 6 years old, or um and yeah. Anyway, kind of
Yeah.
went off on
No,
a tangent, but
I
it's
absolutely love it.
fascinating. I'm deeply engaged in my healing. I feel like it's my full-time job these days. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time on it.
I think it's fantastic. I actually have named some of my own,
That's
and
awesome.
it seems to help so much to be able to just talk to them, to really understand, why are you even here? Why do you feel the way that you feel? And to be able to kind of pinpoint, oh, you were born at this point in time, so now you're actually stuck as this 15-year-old who's carrying all this hurt and anger and whatever else. So now I can talk to you as this 15-year-old,
That's
and really
amazing.
bring that healing forward. So it's absolutely incredible work to be able to do that.
And then imagine taking that a step further and having a vibration. I mean, talking is vibrational, but even getting beyond words and now engaging with these sounds and instruments. And I feel very called to doing voice work with people,
So what would
because
that
they're
look like, or what would that entail? You're like piquing my interest right now.
so it's funny. In February, I was going to launch my first kind of voice focused workshop ever. And then our situation changed, and that didn't happen. And I really look forward to launching it even virtually. Although being in the room with voices together obviously has its impact. I've seen what's possible virtually.
Yeah.
And really the idea is, and again, research is supporting it. But when, first of all, this is a massive center. Not only is a chakra, but a center and a highway of truth and authenticity, communication. And we talk about swallowing. We swallow our thoughts. We swallow our desires, our intuition. Like, oh, I was about to do that, but I didn't. I didn't say it. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so as we engage our voice, and this is not about singing, and even when I sing and chant and lead, I almost want to qualify it every time that I'm not a singer. Yes, sometimes my voice comes out and it sounds really good. I go off key all the time. Because as I said, I'm not a professional at any of this, and yet it's my profession to use these as tools. And so I hope that in that humanity of it, that it actually offers a more welcoming, that our voice, we hold it. And so as we hum, as we chant, as we engage our voice, we are opening up areas within ourselves, that makes it possible to shift the way we show up for ourselves in our lives. And it doesn't have to be drastic, like, oh, so I start speaking my truth to my boss, and I lost my job. And again, let's get out of the black or white thinking. But as we begin to open this tenderness with love, and how do we speak to ourselves and get beyond words? The circle, the sacred circle, is about connecting. We're constantly communicating. We could sit here and not say a word, and
Yeah.
people would sense something from us, and our facial expressions, our body language. And so when we intentionally engage with rhythm in whatever instrument it is, it shifts the ability to interact with it, because we can't get the story in the way.
Mm.
And I've been told that, people have said, talking, sometimes it helps, but sometimes I just run out of words. And and sometimes there just aren't enough words. I learned a word this year called ineffable.
Yes,
And do you know that word?
I do. My husband and I, when we first started dating, I was reading a book, Asking It Is Given by Esther and Abraham Hicks.
Yes.
And it's in like the first paragraph, because I kept wanting to tell him I love you, but I love you just didn't seem like enough. And so we just started saying ineffable to each other, which was our way of like saying to each other, I love you, but there's not enough words to express this love to each other. So yes, I
Yeah.
know that word. Not a whole lot of people do, though.
No, and it's been a really important word as I go through this embodiment thing and get outside of the intellect and the head, and tap into this wisdom of the body. Um, yeah, when there just aren't words to describe it. And I think that's I think people are so often surprised at what can take place for themselves in this type of experience. There's just often so much shock and surprise, like not only in one's ability to participate and enjoy being rhythmical, um, but in what they felt and in what shifted, and feeling that sense of both their own rhythm, but in the harmony and in tune, with the other rhythms that are being shared. So yeah, there's so much potential for healing that again is both research and science based, and very experiential. It's powerful. It's really powerful. I feel so blessed to do this work, really.
Absolutely. Um, so I know you had mentioned that you might be willing to lead us through a small
Sure.
meditation.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm going to use this hand pan, although a few people, including yourself, have been calling it a tongue drum. I'm which is so funny because
I'm hoping to God that the Christmas present that shows up for me is not a wooden box.
that's really funny because you think it's coming as something else.
Yeah.
Love it. This is called a hung. It's Hang. And as I said, I don't perform, but I use it as a tool. So, sure, let's gather together. So, I really love to move before I even attempt to find stillness. So, let's just shake out our hands a little bit. Yeah. And as we shake, let's open up our voice and shake with some voice. Ah, yeah. And we can shake high and make a high sound. And down in a low sound. You're like, she didn't tell me she was going to do this with me.
Nope, that's all good.
And just a big deep breath. And so if you feel like you want to close your eyes, if not, allow yourself just to stare gently. At any point, you're in control and you can come back to a centering. And so our centering will be feeling your feet on the ground. You can wiggle your toes a little bit. You can even stomp your feet a little, just feeling the ground beneath you. And feeling the surface holding your body. And let's intentionally invest in those two spaces under our feet and under our body, feeling them as foundational supports, feeling that we're being held and supported, and just being aware of our body in space, feeling the temperature on our face, feeling where our hands are touching and resting on our body. And for a moment, inviting you to place your hand on your heart, connecting with that life force rhythm within you. The force that celebrates you as an individual with your own rhythms and personalities, but is also the very force that unites you with every living being on this planet. Just breathing that in for a moment. You can allow yourself to let go or rest your hands or stay there if you feel called. And we're just going to invite ourselves to a moment of rest. Just allowing whatever is to be. For a moment, just imagining the most beautiful light around your heart. I can suggest a color, but you may feel different color. Or if you're not visual, maybe it's just a sensation. And if nothing is coming, then that's okay too. We're just resting. If you connect to it, seeing a white, beautiful light surrounding your heart. It's pulsating in love. It's pulsating in compassion. And it's pulsating in acceptance. Rest in this energy just for a moment. Whatever's waiting for you will still be there. Just taking a moment to connect and invest in self-care. Begin to feel that light as it pulsates. It reaches every cell in your body. And allows the trillions of cells to vibrate in vital white light, healthy, filled with vitality, inviting you to peace and calm. Just breathe that light in for a moment. And you can imagine the balls of light entering your hands as well. Beautiful balls of pure energy. And if there's somewhere on your body that feels like it would just love to feel that warmth and love, maybe it's still your heart. Maybe putting your hands on your face. Just allow yourself to give yourself a nurturing touch. Showing up as your own healer. You have everything within you that you need. And inviting you to take an inhale and allow an audible exhale. And very gently bringing awareness to your feet and feeling them on the ground, again held and supported by Mother Earth, by the ground beneath you. And feeling their body held by the surface you're on. Again, wiggling your fingers and feeling the touch on your body where they're less laying or resting. And slowly opening your eyes and bringing your awareness back to this room.
That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
I love the sound that makes. Absolutely love the sound it makes.
It is, yeah, it's really, I feel so lucky that I got on the train before they stopped making them, for sure. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to hear from you, but sometimes just having sound rather than just a voice guiding, I find it allows me to to engage the busyness of my mind, right? Because I think if the goal is to stop our thoughts, you know, how successful am I most of the time? I don't know. But yeah, did you find that with sound, with meditation, does it shift that experience for you a little bit?
So, yeah, I wasn't aware of any thoughts. Um, as each ping happens with the handpan, sorry, is that the correct term?
Hung, yeah.
Okay. So as each ping happens, it's like I can feel different things happening in my, like a little light goes off
Mm.
throughout my body, and it's like different notes register with different parts of my body, if that makes sense. So that's kind of, I guess, where my thoughts go, is it's like these little pings going off in my body. So I really enjoy that.
That's so beautiful. I had a visual of that, and it's like a fireworks going off with all these
Yeah.
beautiful light balls. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when someone is coming to see you, what can they kind of expect either from the group session or the one-on-ones? Because I know there's a few different things that either are already operating or soon will be operating. So what kinds of things can they expect to receive in a session with you?
So yeah, it's a great time that we're meeting because I'm really just coming out of a contracted time and starting to feel ready to shine and know that from a place of abundance that me shining doesn't make someone else's light go out. And it's amazing how how that can come. And so what I'm going to in meditation experiences. So launching this month in the next couple of days, be launching some half-hour experiences, and in the new year we'll be launching some longer ones as well. And so in those meditations, it would be, you know, using some familiar meditations like a mindfulness body scan, But really, my goal is to offer different ways that we can meditate. So whether it's that instrument, we might use the crystal bowl. I might be drumming. Um, there will almost always be a voice element, whether it's guided or a chant. But really, just helping people explore different ways that we can engage in our self care, in our well being, and get to know ourselves and what feels good and what feels right. So, and then the goal too will be to offer the ongoing programs where we really begin to open up our voice. I'm redoing my health rhythm certification that's geared specifically to online. So I'll be offering 6 to 10 week sessions of health rhythms. I'm working with corporate teams and supporting their stress release. Although team building, I think, still is possible. And then also wanting to launch together in rhythm, which really will be inviting people to find their own instruments. You know, found sounds are an amazing thing because you can use a cheese grater and a wood spoon and you've got a great instrument, or you turn your garbage can upside down and you've got a drum. And so, really wanting to invite engagement as well. So I hope that answers your question. I'm in an exploratory time and this platform and seeing what's possible. I've been putting on 10 minutes or less little experiences on my Instagram and Facebook. So I'll be continuing to do that, and I'll make sure that I have some free content as well. So it's kind of a new and exciting time. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's possible right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's awesome because it's if COVID has taught us anything, it's how adaptable we can be. And where we used to have limitations that said, oh no, I could never teach this virtually. Well, no, now actually you can. And it works even more beautifully than our minds ever would have thought that it could. So,
Yeah, and I was so excited in the summer. I was part of a symposium that had gone online, and one of the feedbacks that was so moving to me was how connected they actually felt to the other people on the call. And that's powerful to know that that's possible because we need it. People are isolated, both in physically, but I think emotionally. And having a space where they can be themselves, and maybe there's a gift in being in your own space muted. Maybe there's even a little bit more. I'm always inviting people to dip their toe in the discomfort, right? We don't need to dive, but if we only stay in what's comfortable, we're really not entering into that growth zone. There is discomfort in change because it's new, because we're not practiced at it. And so, really, just, yeah, I would love to invite people into dipping the toes with me into the vibrational waters and to discover what's possible for themselves and to experience what it means to sing, chant, things they want to create. And does that shift, heard about affirmations all these years, and do they work and how do they work, and what if we shifted our relationship with positive talk, and really brought it at a vibrational level as a celebration or an invitation, rather than one more thing to get done in our day. I don't think we need any more to-do lists.
yes,
Yeah.
no, we don't. I would actually like to shift my to-do list for 2021 into a to-be list.
I was just gonna say that. I love that. Yes, yes, there's
Fantastic.
alignment here. I
Now,
love it.
one question that I ask every guest that's on the show is if you could share one piece of wisdom for the entire world right now, what wisdom would you want to share with the world?
Wow. Hmm. Hmm. All I know that I'm learning is the being, that all the effort, all the trying, and boy, we need help and we need support, but building capacity, resiliency, and learning and integrating nervous system regulation. Um, oh my gosh, like it's one thing. Uh, yeah, the being with what is huge, and it doesn't just come, it is about building capacity and resiliency. I know I follow a woman named Irene Lyons, and she's such an amazing teacher. I've only ever used all her free content, and her focus is on somatic experiencing and nervous system regulation, and healing trauma. and she chooses the swimming pool as a metaphor. And if you have so many balls in the swimming pool, so your only options are to make the swimming pool bigger or to take some of the balls out. And sometimes it's a bit of both. And that's it. That's the key work. And so that looks different for everybody. And I'm beyond grateful in this last year. I've been blessed to work in psychedelic therapy, which has completely transformed my life. I had the right integration support and therapist for that. All the free content that I explore all the time. But in the end, it is slowly building the safety to learn to be with myself and to find a compassionate voice for myself. Um, I don't know. I know the wisdom I'm learning for myself that I hope can be meaningful for someone else. And just what
Beautiful.
feels good. Do more of that. Do more of that. and
Yes.
and play, I really I get really serious and deep, but play is important. That's the other piece of this is, let's have fun. Adults will have this great time at a drum circle and they'll say, "Oh, I want to tell my kids about it." And I'll say, "Why don't you say your friends?" We give the joy to the children, and let's bring it back to our adulthood. Let's play, let's explore, let's have fun with healing as well. I think that's also really important.
Absolutely.
I hope that
Absolutely.
answered your question. I don't know. I feel
Yes.
like I could talk for hours and hours and feed my own ego of my own wisdom and knowledge. I don't know.
No, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Now we're just about out of time here. And I know there was a special offer that you wanted
Yeah.
to offer those on the call.
Yeah, so within this week, I will be launching some pay what you can meditations. Come January, the intention is to launch many different programs throughout June, January, and March. So I would love to offer your listeners that once those launches come in January, that there'll be a 25% off code, and the code would be Journey 25, all capitals, JO like Journey, 25. And so that code will be good till March 31st. So it'll be a sort of a one-time 25% off any of the programs for your first sign up. And I'd really like to continue to explore working one-on-one with people. You asked me in what way, but to personalize someone's stress release and reducing or increasing calm. So, I'd really love if somebody's interested and wants to reach out to me at aura@livingrhythm.ca. The first email I get, I'd love to offer two, gifted 45-minute sessions with me. And any subsequent emails that I get, I'd love to engage with people, why they were interested, why they emailed, and see how we might be able to work together. So those are the two offers today, is the 25% off and the first person to email me who's interested in the sort of two free 45-minute sessions with me.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I've just posted that as a comment.
Amazing.
So even those who are watching in the replay will be able to see that information. So again, email address is Ora, O-R-A, at livingrhythm.ca, and her website is livingrhythm.ca. Thank you so much, Ora, for joining us here tonight. That was such a
Thank you
beautiful
so much,
meditation.
Catherine. And sorry, just to add that I am doing that content on Instagram, Living Rhythm Canada, and Facebook, Living Rhythm Canada. If there's some stuff there that's under 10 minutes and it'll help your day, I hope it does. Thank you so much, Catherine. This was just a joy and a privilege. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to all of you who are listening.
Have a great night, everyone.
Okay. Have a great rhythm day. Bye.